among the most important and massive Lithuanian-American institutions are its female convents. So, I am talking to the representative of one of these orders, Sisters of Immaculate Conception, and why did Lithuanian-American female convents were established, and why did they continue as Lithuanian-American? I mean, let's say, why not join up forces with, English-speaking nuns?
Well, to answer specifically your question, in America there are 4 Lithuanian-based women religious communities. 4, not Chicago, Casmerites, the Pittsburgh Franciscans, Brockton, Crucified Jesus, and ours in Putnam. Where we differ is that we only accepted Lithuanian-speaking women, and which narrowed our ministries and our apostolate to what we really served, basically the Lithuanian immigrants and the Lithuanian population. And the other Lithuanian female communities had hospitals and schools and the usual services and ministries that you would normally find in a denominational service to people.
Although even those religious communities have actually mostly concentrated, let's say, to the Lithuanian parish schools, for example. St. Casimir Sisters had some non-Lithuanian schools, but many of their, let's say, services to the public were still to the Lithuanian Americans. So what is like the reason why, for example, you and other sisters decided to join Lithuanian American communities and continue to serve Lithuanians rather than join general convents?
Well, then in that case I have to give you a personal witness. When I was making my own decision, I truly had chosen another community. Being Lithuanian, I said, no, I want to go here. But then I said, now I have to serve my people. And so I changed my mind and I entered this community and not another, totally international and a religious community. Yes, and I think it is that definitely the ethnic factor. In my case, it was part of my decision-making process. That the fact that I'm Lithuanian, that's my ethnicity, that makes me who I am and different from the rest of the people around me, made me direct my choice to this community, which served only the Lithuanian immigrants. That was definitely a part of my decision. So, and it's not necessarily every person's decision also, but for me it was.
What kind of services did your order provide to the Lithuanian immigrants and Lithuanian people?
Well, that really, I find it phenomenal in the sense that the women who were my predecessors, my superiors, my predecessors, they really had a keen sense of observing what is happening around them and listening to people's needs. For the love of God, for the love of neighbor. The first immigrants that came, older people, didn't have a place to go, did not know English language. They took in old folks' home, then a nursing home. Then you have all your immigrant families. What do they do with their kids in the summer? The Franciscan fathers were already established in Maine, but there was nothing for the girls. So they said, we have to set up a camp for the girls. And they did that in Putnam for so many years. There was no periodicals, no Lithuanian magazines, reading. They got a printing press going. They got a little Eglute magazine for children. In other words, they responded to the immigrants' needs. In different places in Canada, whatever, parents couldn't go to work because they had children. So what did the sisters do? They set up daycares to help them take care of the children while the parents go to work. So it was always a response to what is most needed. And in terms of camp, that's very needed in a foreign country to help parents bring up their kids with their national identity.
Yeah, so right now we are in Neringa, which is a Lithuanian children camp. It has been established in the 70s, yes?
In here, you can say 69, 70s here.
Yeah, 60s or 70s, but actually it has its roots much deeper than that, and thanks to the sisters. It continues on still, even though now it has been transferred to lay people, but the fruits of the sisters' work continue here still. And another important Lithuanian institution your religious community has is a massive mother house in Putnam, Connecticut, which, like Neringa as well, is full of Lithuanian artworks and provides a very, very Lithuanian atmosphere amidst the plains of New England. Mm-hmm. So what could people find here, and if they can visit the monastery, the convent?
That which is material, you can see, first and foremost, the chapel. The chapel is built by Varnadis, his architectural, Lithuanian architects. They were responsible for the entire structure, so they're for the chapel, the whole Stations of the Cross, the way the cemetery is set up, even the convent, the different artifacts within the convent, the little museum, the little heritage room. You come in there, and people who come in there now, they go, this is so different, this is so different. They look around and they feel, it's a retreat house now, but they feel very special in that. They feel a culture there beyond what they get in their own home, in their American scene, and they like coming because they like the feel of the different atmosphere that perhaps European atmosphere. So if they come to Putnam, you will definitely get a flavor of Lithuanian culture just by looking at the edifice and the artwork around you. At this point, there are very few Lithuanian functions there, maybe once a year during the summer, but right now it serves as a retreat house. Mm-hmm.
And Americans are also enjoying, as you mentioned, Lithuanian culture, even if they are not actually of Lithuanian descent.
And actually they ask a lot of questions, especially when it comes down to politics, especially with the Ukrainian war now. It's a question of talking about the political issues of today, and they see that little display of the communist era.
So your religious order published Adele's Dirsytės book, which was perhaps one of the most widely translated Lithuanian books. So what you can tell more about that?
Yes, and no one remembers how it happened that we had in our hands the originally written by Dirsytė from Siberia, from which we made photocopies and we printed it.
So she was expelled from Lithuania to Siberia and wrote that book in Siberia, like under Soviet persecution.
Prison labor camps, actually to her death. The tortured and all this things that she experienced were the cause of her own death. And she wrote simple thoughts, simple words, simple prayers to express the faith in this horrible, horrendous situation. And it came through as a little prayer book. And it says, Mary save us, Mary save us. And little glimpse of her thoughts with several other young girls. And it was bound, and it got into our hands, and I don't know, no one remembers where it is now. Somewhere the original is there. All we have is the facsimile and the ones that we printed, and they were translated immediately in different languages. So that began with our printing press also. And now, of course, it's worldwide. Mm-hmm.
Indeed, when we visited Putnam ourselves, we noticed many impressive sites there. For example, in the local cemetery, many of Lithuanian luminaries are buried who unfortunately had to flee the Soviet occupation and went to America. And there is also Mogas Castle, a symbolic castle built by priest Stasys Yla, who was actually a prisoner of Nazi Germany, yes?
Yes, we had several people there. You mentioned Aistė. She was the first woman diplomat in the era where there women were never in diplomatic corps in any country of Europe. And here she was, a female among all the men, and here she's in our cemetery, very prominent in Lithuanian history. And Father Stasys Yla and Tulabienės and other people. And they came to us as an oasis, a mini Lithuania. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mogas Castle is especially atmospheric, and to hear the stories of how priest Yla built it is of course also impressive. You can read much of these stories at our website, which you can see below, and see the exact spot of each of these locations on the map, the link to which you can see below. And yes, Žemaitienė's story is also impressive, like she was almost made ambassador, but as Eidantas writes in his book about Lithuanian diplomatic history, the only reason she wasn't made an ambassador was because the foreign minister said that, well, the other countries wouldn't understand us if you would appoint a woman as an ambassador. Yeah, so those were the times, you couldn't imagine them today, of course, but even in those times, Lithuanian female Catholic religious orders were among the most important female institutions among Lithuanian America. So thank you very much for this interview, and if you are interested to hear more interviews from the most impressive sites all over Lithuanian America, I invite you to follow this YouTube channel.